Ocean Lake welcomes our very first stream member. Like always. Ocean Mike. We'll see if his server is working properly. And no, it is not displaying the live stream. That is a shame. I will just apologize in advance and tag everyone. Everyone. Ocean Mike says, welcome, level up. Just tagged the server because for some reason the bot's been very strange. Ocean Mike says, hello, Lucid Boar, and welcome to the second stream you've been a part of. Ocean Mike welcomes the 4 members we have so far. 2 minutes in. 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Ocean Mike says, yes, Wicked Fish Wednesday already. It's already here. Ocean Mike says, he's glad to have you here. Always glad to have some awesome people join the stream. I will try to get a few more folks on stream so we can get started sooner. Mike says, hello, Puck. It's always good to see you. Five folks so far. Mike will take a drink of his ice water. If we stay at a steady 5 viewers for a minute or two more, then we can just get started. Whoa, we got 6 now. My day's actually been very well and somewhat exciting. I applied to my first colleges today, so it's pretty awesome. And hello, Andy. Ocean ASMR. No offense, but I probably won't be able to do that as I do not have the proper equipment or the proper computer to be able to film myself doing that. I hope maybe someday. No problem, Andy. Schmuck will take another gulp of his ice water. It is a bit weird in all honesty, but I'm not gonna lie, Ocean Mike is actually a fan of ASMR. Always have been. Like the scratching noises or like bottles, like plastic. I don't know. Big Blue Fish is very well. He's chilling. He's just been watching. Hey, Jimmy, welcome to the stream. Well, since we have about 7 viewers now and we've reached 5 minutes, I think that's a good time to start Wicked Fish Wednesday. Put on your safety goggles, gentlemen and ladies, and everybody who else. Things are about to get wicked on Wicked Fish Wednesday. It's very true, level up. By all means, Jimmy, whatever works best for you. This is just a fun stream for those who tune in if they want. So we can get started. You guys can ask questions. I kind of treat these as a Q&A plus fish facts if you guys want. So anything you guys are down for, I'm game. What do the fish eat? Well, different types of fish eat different things. Well, Lucid Boar, on Wicked Fish Wednesday, we generally go over prehistoric fish and mythical fish, like fish from fables or legends. So, you guys give me fables or legends of fish that you're curious about, and then I will talk to you about them or educate you about them. Or you guys could just ask me random questions about other stuff. I kind of treat this as a Q&A, like I said, or just... Well, hello there, Dead Crescendo. But I will answer your question, of course. I have not fished for tarpon in a very long time. I did with my dad once. But we used either shrimp or we used frozen calamari. They both worked pretty well. But we also caught like a nurse shark, a couple of reef sharks because of it too. We had a weird way of fishing. My dad would get in a kayak and go out and then drop the bait with, like, the bait was attached to the line and he would leave the line out. He'd go on a kayak, go off the shore, drop it, then sail back. So we could get a ton of distance so we could troll. Very nice. The best color of fish? First of all, hello, Cami. There really isn't a best color. Each fish have their own special colors that help them in their environment, or they're just evolved to look like that. So there really isn't a best. Whatever they are, it's best for them. However, the most common is probably silver or like a gray. Safety goggles. There we go. I honestly, it's not only just a hope, but it's probably also the most likely thing. So it's kind of a mix. I honestly believe that, like, if there was something huge down in the ocean, it would be something similar to siphonophores. Siphonophores live very down deep in the ocean, but they also can live very close to the top because their bodies are very adaptable. Because they're not a single organism. They look a lot like jellyfish, but they're actually a colony of, well, siphonophores. They're a colony of microorganisms that are called siphonophores that create these massive, like, structures that look just like jellyfish, and they function very similar to jellyfish as well. However, they are a large hive mind that can survive in many environments because their bodies don't need that much nourishment. They live mainly on osmosis. It's really interesting. The largest one, the giant siphonophore species, called the giant siphonophore, is 30% longer than a blue whale, which is huge. Blue whale being the largest creature that we know of on Earth. But they technically count it as still the largest living creature because the siphonophores are a colony, despite them functioning as a hive mind. However, they are not thick or anything. They're actually about as wide and as tall as a broomstick, but they are 40 meters long, which is massive. Welcome, Abigail B, to the Wicked Fish Wednesday live stream. Further course of action. That's a bit hard to say because a lot of people think that letting cages or nets fall to the bottom of the ocean and bringing them back up is the best way to go. However, personally, I do not agree. like for example, that's why people have so many misconceptions of the blobfish, because the blobfish was discovered through this message. But the blobfish does not look anything like that when it's alive, because their bodies are so fragile and their tissues on their the, pardon me, the tissues on their bodies are so fragile and thin that they're completely mangled when they come up. So they look like this blob, when in reality, they look a lot like a pufferfish when they're alive. So I don't think it's fair to the specimens that we're trying to research. I believe that we should try to invest more on expeditions, kind of like what we did with Challenger Deep, which is the deepest part of the ocean that we know of so far, located at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. And so they did an expedition a couple decades ago in a miniature submarine, and they went down and they investigated and they found cool species. They made it to the deepest part, and they didn't hurt any of the specimens while they were down there, and they were able to observe them naturally in their habitat, how they are meant to look alive. And so I believe that is the best course of action, although very pricey. It's the safest way and the most efficient way to document life and new information. Yes. Well, not only the depressurization, there is that, which also causes damage to the specimens. But blobfish is like just being brought up that quickly from nets. It like tore their skin and their scales. They're just very sensitive creatures. They're not meant to be touched at all. Hey there, Storm Club Guard. Glad you could make it to the stream. Yeah, it isn't a very great thing. I wish that we were a little bit more careful around the ocean life, but the world has a very different view of how to treat fish, because so many people think that since fish don't feel the same pain that we do the same way, that it's just fine to drag them around. But yeah, preach the best way I can by just teaching you guys what I know and what I learn. Both, yeah. Fish are a very important part of the world ecosystem, like a huge part. They provide fish for just about every single species on Earth, including fungus and other things. There are even carnivorous sponges that exist, which is crazy. These goggles, although they fit the theme of wickedness, kind of prevent me from seeing. I honestly do not have any fish pets. I have not had a fish pet in like 10 years, I believe, maybe more. Yeah, I haven't had a fish pet in a very long time. I had a dog, though, a very small dog, Sea Pup. He's been in 2 or 3 of my videos now. Oh, no, no worries. I answer questions no matter what they're answered. Like I've talked about siphonophores more times than I can count, not only because the question comes up, because I really love talking about siphonophores. They're so cool. There's so many different unique ones. He is a good pup. He's a very calm dog. He sat up here next to me on his birthday and just sat there and slept, or kind of lounged. Oh, he's in previous videos, but Ocean Mike will bring him in on Funfish Friday. He's already sleeping upstairs, so don't want to bother him. He gets kind of grouchy if you pick him up while he's sleeping. Can you be a fish puck? Currently, science does not allow the transformation of human to fish. However, maybe someday in our lifetime. Andy, I will discuss that right now. The Portuguese man of war? And yes, I know what you mean by Portuguese. But yes, they are actually siphonophores. Yes, Bulg, they are siphonophores. They're actually one of Ocean Mike's favorite siphonophores because they have that cool air pouch on the top of their head. I will pull up Andy's suggestion. Airfish, water, birds. These are questions that are yet to be determined. Yucca mama. Yucca mama. Although this is technically a snake and it lives in fresh water, I'll talk about it just for the fun of it. How about that? So here's the yucca mama. It's said to be a giant snake that lived in the Amazon. However, it is pretty obvious that the Amazon, giant snake, boa constrictors, anaconda, they were probably just seeing one of those. Because as in all times in history, when someone sees something so large, living, and dangerous, they of course believe it to be something either evil or mythical, like not from their world. But when in fact yucca mama was most likely an anaconda or a very large snake. Can a fish swim upside down? I believe that there actually are a few different fish species that are capable of doing that. I personally seen my own pet fish a long time ago swim upside down. However, I believe that that is because they were nuts. I just wanted to be fun for that one because you'd asked it a couple times, so I just wanted to make sure that I got in other people's suggestions. But I like to try to keep things to marine life. I'll talk about fish, siphonophores, jellyfish, crustaceans, sharks, porpoise, any of that. Anything marine life, it's all game for Wicked Fish Wednesday as long as it's mythical, folktale, or prehistoric. Cetacean. It's a hard one. I'm sorry. Go to notification. Turn my ringer off. Put it on do not disturb. A better idea. Here we go. We're fishing the global warming. That is a very possible thing, Crescendo. Oh, but first, I'm sorry, I almost forgot to answer your question about cetaceans. My favorite cetacean is probably, I like the bottlenose dolphin. It's always a cool one. I'll answer your question in a minute, Megadoomed. But yes, Crescendo, I do believe so. But what I also fear is that due to pollution and global warming, that there could be dozens of fish and marine species that could be going extinct that we don't even know about yet because we don't travel those areas, like, for example, the ice caps or the Antarctic waters or even parts of the Pacific that reside around like those giant trash islands that are the size of countries. I believe that there are species that are going extinct that we haven't even discovered yet, and we might not ever be able to discover because we keep killing them off without knowing them. And it might be awful, but like in 10 years or so, a fish that was alive today, we could be unearthing as fossils. We didn't even get to see it alive. Can you fight a mantis shrimp? It wouldn't be much of a fight, but yes, you technically could. Of course. I'm here to answer questions. In jellyfish don't really have a level of sentience. They more of kind of like function like a drone more than anything. They have no organs. They have no nervous system, respiratory system. They just survive through osmosis, but as a singular organism. It's really interesting. But yeah, I think of them more as a drone. And yeah, they don't really have a level of sentience. The spookiest fish. Um, I honestly think that the black dragon eel is a very spooky fish. It has no digestive system, so the males only don't have any digestive system, so the males don't live for very long at all. But they look really scary. They're very vicious predators down in the abysmal zone. They are very scary, spooky looking. They're kind of crazy too, because like I said, they have no digestive system, so they only are like at a constant hunting state of mind. So they only live long enough to eat, produce offspring, and then pass away. It's a weird life cycle for a fish. Coelacanth. Coelacanths are really cool. They're another one of the living fossils in the world. And a fun fact about it that I sadly only recently found out because I am really slow when it comes to picking up on references. The Pokemon Relicanth is based off of it. It's really cool. It is a prehistoric, it almost kind of looks somewhat like a boulder, in my opinion. It is a large boulder-like fish. They're very, very old, around a similar times zone from the goblin shark, which are another living fossil. I do not recommend that puck. It's very dangerous to attack fish that you might not know about. The cutest fish, Havgufa. Sure, I'll talk about the cutest fish and then I'll do the Havgufa. I'll tell you my cutest fish while I pull up the picture of the Havgufa. So, in the opinion of Ocean Mike, probably say the cutest fish. It's a tricky one. There's a lot that I like. I'm having trouble finding a picture of the Havgufa. I know what it is. It's the large island-like creature. But why can I not find a picture? Oh, I think I spelled it wrong. Oops. Here we go. There we go. This is a more modern take of the Havgufa, which is like a giant fish-like monster that lived in the ocean in Norse mythology. An interesting thing about it is it would disguise itself as an island due to its large mass or a large series of sharp rocks. So it would be swimming around, and people would think it's either an island or something, but it would come up and make its attack. I would not recommend screwing up with a lionfish, because their bodies are completely covered with those dangerous spines. I have snorkeled and scuba dived in Grand Cayman, which is a Caribbean island, I believe, a territory of Europe. and it is a beautiful place. The best diving and the only diving I'll ever enjoy. I don't think you can, Puck. Most crustaceans are mainly driven on instinct and survival, so they're not really too prone to learning, except if it's something that benefits them. Le- yes, the lionfish are my least favorite fish. They might look cool, but they do a lot of damage to the environment. Oh yeah, I found dozens of live sand dollars. They're really, really common in a place that we used to go to called Sanibel, which is a small island off of Florida. Beautiful island, best shelling in the world, like finding seashells. And the entire beach is covered in shells, so you have to wear shoes. Because I mean, like literally, the sand is either shells or shell fragments. It's crazy, but it's really cool to find all these cool shells. Find a lot of sand dollars, starfish sometimes. Yeah, Puck, you probably will. What game? Tier Zoo? I don't think I have. Wait, I think I actually saw that today. I'm not a regular watcher by any means, but I think I literally just saw that today. I believe it was in my recommended. I did. I just saw this in my recommended because of the "Are swordfish overpowered?" or something like that. I just saw it in my recommended either today or yesterday, but I'm not a regular viewer by any means. The lionfish? Not really. They're actually an invasive species. I'm not entirely sure of the origins of how they came to be an invasive species, but they have no natural predators, or very few natural predators, to the point where they're able to breed and produce a ton of offspring at once, and nothing is really able to take it down. So they keep overcoming other fish's territories because nothing can tell it to back off because it's covered in those dangerous venomous spines. So they just kind of keep overtaking fish territories and causing biodiversity in environments to decline. And it's just really harmful to environments because these irritating fish keep destroying them. I have no problem in fishing for food. Fishing for sport is a bit of a different story. Well, first, I'll talk about fishing for food. Fishing for food is just fine if, like, either you're catching like for your family or yourself, and as long as you use all or almost all of the fish, by all means, fish for what you need. But I do have a problem with overfishing. Like the tuna industry is disgusting. Like they're just these massive factories on ships that just catch dozens of tuna, flash freeze them in onboard freezers. Got them. Well, first they got them, and then they take out a sample of their meat so that people can inspect the quality just from for sellers, and then they throw them in a freezer. It's awful. Tuna population is going down rapidly because of it. See you, Jimmy. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, tuna industry is just out of control. People don't know when to stop. People just think that it's not their problem because by the time that they're dead and gone, the world will after it will have to deal with it. It's not their responsibility, but it is. Generations ahead of us won't even be able to see half the species that exist today. Like the wild places in the world has gone down by like 30%, I believe, maybe more. Yeah, I think it's about like 35% since like 1970, which is insane. Like 30% of like the world's like wild environments are just gone. I mean, most of these places we can't even get back because of how we treat them. Like after something goes extinct, they don't really come back. There are a couple of cases where certain birds, like there's that meme of the bird who evolved itself back into existence, but that type of evolution processes takes thousands and thousands and sometimes millions of years. And that might not even be able to happen if we keep destroying the world. So the reason why that bird was able to evolve back into existence is because it had millions of years or thousands of years in its in a natural habitat. But if we get rid of those habitats and those environments, only a very small amount of creatures will be able to survive. It's lame as hell. Pardon the language. But I don't really know any way else to say it. It's awful to think about. Yeah, I have also heard of that. The world's balance is being tipped over. Soon, the world, unfortunately, will probably just be overrun with invasive species or these dangerous creatures like urchins and lionfish that just have no place. Well, not the proper place, but they're supposed to. We keep driving away natural predators, or we keep bringing species into places that they don't belong, and then we just leave them there to grow and cause more damage. But yeah, it's wicked, not the good type of wicked, like for Wicked Fish Wednesday. Sorry for the full philosophical and ethical rant today, guys, but I don't know. Someone needs to say it, and I know a lot of people are, but it makes me feel a little bit better that I'm telling about 9 people out there that the world needs our help. Yeah, it's really terrible. Cute little guys. Thanks, level up. I appreciate that, but right on. I'm thinking of a live stream sometime soon, just talking about how we can help the ocean. I tried reaching out to a couple of public figures or just organizations to try to figure out how to get started on like a charity or non for profit or something. But Mark Ruffalo is too busy for Ocean Mike. I wasn't really expecting him to answer in all honesty. I was just kind of like, might be cool if I got somebody who knows what they're doing with that type of stuff to have a little bit of input. I've thought about that, but I'm honestly not too sure where to start. I've been really busy and I don't really know how to maintain that with everything else that I do. But you're right, it is probably more accessible, but yeah, could be. We're going to be ending the stream in just a few minutes, so just about a 5 minute warning. Oh, really cool. That sounds awesome. Hey there, Big. Welcome. Thanks, Level Up. I appreciate that. All right. I'll take a few more questions or whatever you guys need, and then we'll wrap it up in at 40 minutes, which is about 4 minutes from now. That's my goal, Lucid Boar. Either spread awareness or just teach somebody something about interesting species of marine life. So do one or two more questions or suggestions, and then we'll wrap up. It's been a good stream. Sea cucumbers. Fish technically can eat pizza, but it is not a part of their normal diet, so it could be harmful to them. Sea cucumbers are pretty cool, though. There's a lot of different species of them, and interestingly enough, they don't really remain straight. Most of the species, at least most of the species that I've encountered personally, kind of bend or like turn to the way that they're like positioned. Because like what I mean is they push themselves up against rocks or surfaces. The ones that I found, or one of the ones that I found, was pushed up against a dock. It almost looked like a letter L. It was like crammed up in there, and so they do look long naturally, but they don't really if you encounter them because they generally press themselves up against something. And they're actually kind of related to sponges in the sense that they are just one big filter, kind of like sea sponges rely on ostia and spongiseals, sorry about that, and their pores in order to filter water and keep those little bits of algae through their chenoflagellates. But sea cucumbers, they're just one little tube. Some of them can be pretty big. They just suck up any nutrients that they can and it goes out the other end. It's funny because some smaller fish will take refuge in sea cucumbers tubes as it is not harmful to either of them, weirdly enough. A megalodon? Very unlikely. There is a chance, but very, very unlikely. If you've seen something like The Meg, like that movie about the megalodon, there could be something kind of like that where there's like that undiscovered climate that's remained invisible to us. But that's very unlikely since that climate is probably being affected the same way that the rest of the climate is being affected by rising water temperatures and pollution. Plus, yeah. Yeah, they're just one tube though. They're just one long. They're like a straw. They get their nutrients from the flagella that's on the inside of their bodies, and so the fish are completely unharmed, and the sea cucumber is still able to filter water, even if the fish is in there. Yeah, it's pretty weird, but they both remain okay. It's a pretty interesting form of mutualism. Yes, that is true, lucid boar. There are some species of sea cucumber that, in extreme distress, they'll like have this weird reaction where they like start like secreting their innards in order to like either get their predators away or like scare them off. There's a couple weird videos of that out there, like from the Blue Planet documentaries, and also just live footage. It's kind of weird, but that's what keeps them alive. Then, by all means, the smartest fish. That is hard to say. Um, one of the smartest marine creatures are like orcas or the giant Pacific octopus. But as for fish, that's kind of hard to say. Fish have a lesser intellect or sentience level of sentience than other marine creatures. So that is tricky to say. Racking my brain for some of the fish that have the smarter hunting or survival habits. Parrotfish are very intelligent. They evolved to be able to use their natural bodily fluids to create like a bubble around themselves while they sleep, so predators can't smell them or see them as well. It's really interesting. Um, the giant trevally that I did yesterday is also very intelligent, as they are pretty strong predators, despite them not being a shark or other organism. Actually, are capable of killing sharks, like I stated yesterday. They are very intelligent of how to use their body. That is true, USB cable. Shark attacks are very rare, but mass media populations like Jaws or The Meg, or those movies like 27 Meters Down or whatever that was, those kind of hype up the scariness of sharks or ocean creatures when they're really just kind of animals looking to survive, just like we do. So you kind of take shark behaviors out of context. My worst injury from a sea animal. I don't know. I don't really think I've been hurt by a sea animal. Um, Stepped on an urchin, I think, once. Yeah, I stepped on an urchin. That kind of hurt. But yeah, I've never been hurt by a sea creature. And the only time I did was because of my own lack of awareness. It's time to wrap up the stream, fellas. Thanks for tuning in for today's Wicked Fish Wednesday live stream. Had a great time, and I hope you guys did too. All right. Goodbye, everybody. Like always, tune in tomorrow for another awesome fish of the day. And goodbye, fishy friends.